it's gonna be one of those days. 180, the lift time on the table. Looked good, didn't it? Until I missed. Dry hands. Okay. All right, I'm gonna address something real quick. I've lost enough weight in recent months that this shirt is now too big. This shirt is a full size down from the previous one you used to see me wearing, and now I can go down another size. So I used to be a 3X, and I went to a 2X. This is an XL, and clearly I'm going to have to go to a large because I got all kinds of room in here now. It's a good problem to have. See what happened? I end up with this going on. Wah. I hit myself in the chin. Oh, come on, man. You can never say that my channel is not real. If you're wondering why it's two shots versus one, okay, the par for this is 2 seconds on a 3x5 card from 7 yards. The reason I'm doing 2 is the first one knocks it back, the second one arrests its motion. And it forces me to make sure that I get my shot, recover, and take my next shot to arrest its motion. But all I'm really concentrating on is the first hit, which I'm over on time, 2:02. It's a good skill set to practice though. That was probably low right, which is why I didn't move it that much. 191. First one was 2:04. Okay, so still over on time. Hey guys, welcome out to the range. Today I wanted to answer a question that was asked of me recently. A guy was asking, how much space do you need for a range? Well, this is 7 yards to the 3x5 card, and to the other 2 is 10 yards. So I would say to you, realistically, that you can easily get away with 25 yards by 25 yards, which is way more room than you need, honestly. If you're going to be doing rifle-specific work, then I would say 50 yards by 50 yards. But that's frankly pushing it, because I've done phenomenal rifle classes that were within the confines of 10 yards. 10 yards. Because what you're talking about is 30 feet. And for the private citizen, you're talking about rifle use inside of a home, rifle use inside of the immediate area around your home. You don't need a lot of room. And the pipe dream that we live in, because we live in a 1,000-yard world now, to the hill is 300 yards. And that's a shot you guys have seen me routinely do. But I realize that outside of the confines of a survival situation, I am not taking a 300-yard shot on anybody. The space that I'm living in now is fairly small, and I'm talking mere feet. So the majority of what I do for home defense now, I can do with a handgun, because the confines of what I'm dealing with are really, really quite small. To answer the query, when someone asks me, you know, what's the bare minimum for training? Man, you can do with so much with so little. A great example is empty casings. You can get away with a lot with an empty casing, and I'll show you an example of what I'm talking about. When you're talking about the double feed, you take an empty casing and you put your live round back in the mag. So you got an empty casing in the chamber, mag goes in, slide goes forward. Now your mag is locked in. This is the slide, the double feed on handgun. And the way you deal with this is you get the click, tap, you rotate the gun to rack it, and you get ticka, ticka, ticka. And now you know you got a problem. So now it's extract, store, invert the weapon. Don't go at it like this. Invert the weapon into your hand. Rack, wait, forward, rack, wait, forward. Mag in, rack, back on. And typically speaking, that's taught within the confines of dummy rounds. I want to make sure I didn't drop a live round. I think the live round stayed in place. That's typically done within the confines of dummy rounds. And dummy rounds are like $1.50 a round. And if you're using the all plastic ones, the rims of the casings break off and they're a problem. And if you go to the ones that are a nickel casing and a plastic dummy round, well, now you're talking potentially even more than $1.50 per round. They're expensive. Why not just use a dummy round? I mean, you know, you guys have seen you've seen the double feed, because the double feed is easy with a casing. So when you're talking about the things that are needed for training, there's so much stuff that's being pushed at you guys, which is the whole point of this channel, is to push truth at you rather than hype and products. Because the majority of what I have is, I'm pointing at my truck, the majority of what I have is very old and very simple. And my attitude is, if I don't use an item, and I've got a Pelican case that has my range stuff in it, and it's like a whole whopping this big. And if the stuff that's in there doesn't get used regularly, it goes out. And it either stays in the truck in a separate bin, which is like a crap catch-all bin. And the only dedicated items that go in and out of the vehicle are going to be the items that are going to be used regularly. And everything else is just going to stay in the truck. I've chosen to simplify my life as much as I can. Because of the nature of what I do, there's a constant come and go in what I do. I make slings at home, I come out here and I work. I take this data, I dump it on my Mac, and I go home, I dump it on my Mac, and I will spend hours producing video. So there's this compartmentalized thing to my life. My life is in thirds. And to maintain friendships and relationships, well, now it's quarters. So now I'm having to figure out how many hours in the day I'm going to give to what. And I work 65 hours a week. To make what I do and maintain what I do, I work 65 hours a week. I'm not exaggerating. I work 65 hours a week. Yeah, it's tiring. But it's worth it, because it allows me to stand in front of this camera and give y'all independent information that is not being driven by social media norms or corporate intrusion. I can say to you, I like Glock. I like Glock. I like Glock mags. I like Glock OEM mags. I like Glock handguns. It is my weapon of choice. No, Gerald, I did not look my gun into the holster. My friend Gerald's always giving me grief about that. I make sure that I'm giving people truth, because it's the only thing that matters. And the older you get, you'll learn that. As always, I thank you guys for watching. I thank you for your support of this channel. I thank you for the donations and the sling purchases that keep food on the table. I thank you for being here. God bless you all. Have a good one. Talk to you later. Totally jacked up that closing.